So they were in your apartment the whole time?
So yeah, I'm pretty sure I might get murdered because I got a notification that says the door opened once, just opened and closed, motion in your living room, and then no door open and close again until I get home.
So they're still there, hiding in
Yeah,
your closet.
yeah. So I checked the closet. I haven't looked under the bed because that scares me even all the time, even if there's nobody here. So I just set up like one of those password things that's going to send someone my password if I don't log in to Google for a while. Pretty sure I'm going to get murdered today. Do you see someone behind me? Seriously, just like yell at me.
Well, at least Smart Things will tell us if you've not moved in a while.
I'm going to put a multi on me, tape it to my arm.
Okay, welcome a few new folks. Johnny.
What up, John?
How's it going?
Johnny came out to Bulldog last week.
We had a great time.
That's pretty fun.
All right. Well, we did post an agenda. It sounded like Ermin has some additions or changes to it already, but that's okay. We are Agile Company. I will go through the quick agenda as stated, and then we can adjust it. And as always, there'll be plenty of time to discuss anything that you guys want to talk about as well. The things that we have on the agenda are a labs update. Smart Things Labs is continuing a role of releasing a few things here and there. A device audit, which Ermin is leading up, trying to figure out some gaps in the devices that we currently offer or integrate with. A device library, and expanding that. That might be part of the device audit, but I'm put it as a separate note. Brian is going to walk us through some of his integration work with the NetAtmo system, which I saw like must have been almost a year and a half ago now in action, but I haven't seen it integrated with Smart Things yet, so that'd be cool. Maybe an update on the platform for the community site at what's currently known as Build. And then I would like to put a call out there to like figure out a way to brand this meeting that we have every other week. Potentially we'll increase its the frequency to be every week again. But basically I don't like developer office hour. I think it's lame. So I'd like to come up with a new name for that. And then, again, anything you guys want to talk about. So we can then jump into some lab stuff. Before we get to lab stuff, there was some other third-party non-labs integrations that we had no part in, but that just happened to happen all in succession the last week. And that is the Ubi integration. I think Ivy was maybe even a little bit earlier with their integration, and Shortcut. All three happen to be ways in which you can have voice activation with Smart Things. Has anyone on the call tried any of those? Not including Ermin.
Not yet. I'll play with the Ubi a little bit.
I like the look of the Ivy device, and their stuff looks pretty good. I've played with Ubi, not Ivy, and I do find it a little frustrating at times to get it to do what I want it to do. And maybe I need to give it more training or have it hear my voice more. I don't know what it is. The Shortcut app worked pretty well for me. It had nearly 90% accuracy, but it was fairly slow right now because of the way that it's doing all of that stuff. It's a cloud-to-cloud sort of thing, and it did take a while for my lights to turn on when I did it. But Shortcut's fairly easy to test if you've got an Android phone. It's just an OAuth basically. Eves is throwing out town hall meeting and then developers after hours. I like that one, Dave. Developer after hours, especially if we keep it at this time frame, because I can't guarantee that Ermin will be sober enough to actually be coherent at this time frame every day.
He's never coherent.
Well, that's true. All right. So in addition to that, those non-labs things, we had a few labs announcements happen in the last couple of weeks. If you've been getting the developer email, you know that you know what they are. But if I can recap here, let me try to remember what they are. There was a quirky device from Todd, TCP light bulbs, LED light bulbs. I think also Todd did those. And what was the other one in that group, Ermin? I have to look back at my email.
I don't know.
I'll get it.
What was
you go ahead with your what's coming up today or tomorrow. I mean, are we releasing something in labs tomorrow?
I don't think so. Are we? I'm the worst. Oh, no. Are we?
Just say the next one that we're releasing.
Can you take this one?
Man.
I feel like I didn't study for the test.
You're still freaked out because of the ghost, is what it is. Well, I mean, obviously, Dropcam came out. Was it? I don't know if it was Monday or late last week. And the third one in the light bulb, it was TCP lights, Ecobee thermostat, Wi-Fi thermostat, and prior to that there was some other devices. I think we're going to try to keep a rolling sort of announcements of these things coming out as we sort of get them taken care of and released. I believe that we were working on something to release this week, but it might have gotten scrapped or it might have gotten delayed with testing. No, it was the Wemo. It was some additional Wemo stuff. So the in-wall switch, that's the new thing. And we were doing some additional testing on the Wemo Motion and Wemo Outlet because they had a new firmware release from the Belkin side, and we wanted to make sure that it didn't break anything. Anyone here use any of the Wemo products with SmartThings?
Yeah, I've been able to use it. It's been a lot better, especially the motion ones seem to be working a lot better as of the last week.
So before that, when it didn't work well, was it just like delayed?
The switches were really delayed, and sometimes wouldn't work at all, or they get stuck on or off, and then and the motions just weren't marking anything. But it all seems to be a lot better now. Great.
Well, that'll be good. I know some people have been asking for the in-wall switches from Belkin. I haven't personally tested them, but I think that is the next thing that we're talking about releasing.
It'd be great to have the Insight on there as well, if possible.
Insight camera?
Or just the Insight switch. Yeah.
The metering one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's next. It's coming up soon.
Great.
Slowly but surely. That Wemo stuff, their new firmware threw everybody for a loop. They changed a lot of stuff. They got rid of a lot of functionality. They had that huge security hole that they patched. So that firmware kind of locked some stuff down. So we're working our way around that. That'd be a nice one.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Anyone else have any questions about labs, SmartThings labs? I'm assuming, we've sort of rolled out labs now so that you don't need to request access to labs like you used to, but you would need to be on the latest hub firmware. And Ermin, where are we on that in terms of rolling that out across the base?
I actually think some of you might still need to request it. There are only about 2,000 people with the latest firmware. We've inquired.
So they don't need to request it now, though, right? If they have iOS, I know that they can.
Yeah. So if you have an iPhone or iOS device, then you can self-update through the app if you would like the hub page in the settings. But other than that, you could ask support if you don't have iOS, and they can update you. We're going to actually just script the updates. We're going to be updating everybody in the next, week or two. We'll just be rolling it out to everybody.
Yep. And so that'll enable a lot of the stuff. I'm sure most of the people on the call have seen that stuff because they're you guys are on the cutting edge. So, all right, Ermin, why don't you talk a little bit about the device audit stuff that you've been spearheading?
Yeah, actually, before that, I want Brian to talk about the NetAtmo because he's getting famous. Getting famous
That's
now.
After that.
It has to do with it. What is?
Okay.
Who cares?
Brian, if you're ready to go with that, you can share your screen if you want.
He's like, everyone's like, oh my God, Brian, you're the best. I'm like, totally right.
All right. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yep.
It's not actually all that super exciting visually. I mean, on the right, you have my NetAtmo. Living room, backyard. It's in the weather section. This is the backyard. It's 42 degrees, 86% humidity. It's actually 43 degrees. It'll update in a minute. How do I go back? And then this is my living room. It's got your, temperature, humidity, CO2, noise, and pressure. And they should all be pretty much the same as what's here.
And
they are.
If you could say like a few sentences about NetAtmo in general, for people who might not be familiar with it, just kind of what it is and its basic like tenant. One of the things is that world map. I think that's kind of a cool aspect of NetAtmo, but
sure. So at least the piece of NetAtmo I'm playing with is a weather station. Weather station. That's a rain gauge.
Well, yeah, the rain gauge is the newest thing. That looks pretty cool.
So it's these two, little silver things. One of them sits inside, and that one will measure temperature, humidity, pressure, noise, and carbon dioxide in whatever room it's in. And it can, do clever things like notifying you if the CO2 is too high, tell you that you need to turn on a fan or open a window. I'm not sure what it does with noise, but it can tell you about it. Same with the others.
Here's the outdoor module. It's nice and small.
Mm-hmm.
They're both pretty small. It actually comes with batteries, which was a nice change of pace from everything else.
Oh, it's cold. Put it outside, actually.
But then they've got this weather map, and the weather map has all the NetAtmo stations that have chosen to share their data with the world. So in Iowa, there are not very many people with NetAtmo. So there's me and a couple other people. But, when you go to more populated places, so you can kind of see what super localized stations are telling you the weather is, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like having all the things ever tell me what the weather is. So.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. And so have you've written basically a service manager for connecting the NetAtmo? Does it just work with OAuth?
Yeah. So the NetAtmo Connect, I've already done this bit. But yeah, it's just OAuth. It'll pop up a page that asks you to enter your NetAtmo credentials. You'll go to NetAtmo's site, hit the thing that says yes, you want to authorize SmartThings, and then you'll just pick whatever devices you have on your account, and it should work basically the same as the Quirky stuff that Todd built, since I started with his device type as a base.
Very cool. So yeah, people can, look into this and, sort of be, have it be known that this will probably make its way into the full ecosystem at some point.
Talking about the NetAtmo, when it's going to come in?
I'm not actually saying anything about when it's going to come, but I just figured that it will come soon. So.
The rain gauge doesn't work yet, but it will once I figure out what code it uses. I kind of just have to guess because I don't have one of those.
Sure.
So, and any additional indoor modules, I can probably guess how those work, but I don't have them set up to function yet for the same reason that I don't have it to test against.
Oh, like multiple outdoor ones. Actually,
Indoor ones.
Oh,
You can actually add up to 3 additional indoor modules. So if you want to, monitor additional rooms, you can pair them all to one base station.
we should get some smart apps going around it too. At least alerts or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see some CO2 based alerts. Even, I don't know, something that can aggregate some of the weather data would be cool. Like another weather feed sort of thing versus just weather on the ground.
One of the things I've done with weather, I don't have it here anymore because it's not winter, but I had it set to manage my pond heater. So if it got below a certain temperature, it would turn on the pond heater, and if it was, colder, it would stay on for longer and such. I was using the virtual weather tile, the virtual weather station for that, but now I would use the NetAtmo.
Since it's like more localized, have you found it to be pretty accurate?
Yeah, it's I've got just one of the regular off-the-shelf things, like the ones you get at Lowe's, and it lines up with that pretty well. I think it updates every 5 or 10 minutes, and I pull NetAtmo every minute.
Cool.
We might want to up that to, I don't know, 5 minutes or something.
Why? Do you think that they would be annoyed?
No, I think that it's just a lot of server traffic. That's just the engineering side of me talking.
Well, right now I'm using one API call per minute. So
yeah, that's okay. I think that's fine. Poll typically runs at 5 minutes, though. Actually, let's talk about that. Like our multi doesn't update until every 2.5 minutes. Most Z-Wave sensors don't update for that often either. Actually,
Eves had the idea of basically doing a CO2 alert, and it could trigger a fan in the HVAC system. That's actually an idea that I really want. I unfortunately have Nest Protect, and now I have no way to turn it off except to get up on a step ladder and like touch it. And my apartment doesn't have ventilation out of the cooking hood. It just basically vents it right out onto the ceiling, or like vents it like 1 foot. It does nothing really, and so it'd be nice if like when that or the CO2 alarm started to go off, that it would do the HVAC setting, because the fan, that's just something I hadn't thought of before, is to turn the fan on, because my heat and my air conditioner really isn't on most of the time, but the fan is a good idea.
Yeah, and that would be super easy to put together.
All right. Well, thanks for showing that. Ermin, you're up.
Actually, let me grab that link. What we're doing right now is we're just calling it a device audit, where we're looking at devices that competitors have that we don't have an option for in our system. So an example is like Lowe's has like an irrigation controller. I think that's one I use in the example too. That we don't have an alternative for. It's not something that like, oh, they support this one particular switch and we don't. It's that we have switches. This is more about things that we just are missing from the entire SmartThings catalog. So, and the reason we want to do that is we want to be able to drive a really solid priority list, what we should be targeting, what's coming up, how we release it. And it's really important that we stop a lot of gaps that are missing instead of just adding functionality for just one particular switch. So we're trying to just balance out the system, trying to get all stopgaps covered and plugged, and get most of devices that on the market, anything in the platform to make everybody happy. And then we're also going to keep focus on adding more of the same. Like, we're not going to stop adding switches as they come out or anything, but we're trying to focus on rounding out the system, making sure we got everything involved.
Ermin, are you guys trying to build it out yourself within your team, like hardware yourself, or are you guys planning to integrate with these devices?
No, it'd be integrating. We're not gonna actually build anything ourselves, but we could approach manufacturers that we're comfortable with and tell them, hey, like, we've got a lot of requests for this stuff. Maybe you should try building one, or I don't know, support people in their Kickstarter if they want to kickstart one. It's really just about plugging device gaps that other people have that we don't. So we really just want everything in the system.
Got it.
We don't want to be like, oh, well, this company has this one device that, like, we don't have. And for a lot of people, that makes or breaks the system. A lot of people, I don't know, find the integration controller super important. That's what they really want to do. Some people don't. Whatever. It's just it's good as something to sell the system for, and it's also good as people like you to add it if it's available.
Got it. Do you think you're going to run into any problems with, like, say, Zigbee systems that aren't compatible with our hub to begin with?
So I mean, it's rare, depending on what kind of system it is or what kind of device it is. But there are a lot of people out there that are willing to start playing nice with everybody. Some people are very, very against it. They're very proprietary.
Drop cam.
Oh.
Put you on blast.
Yeah, I saw that. That article was odd. I don't know if you saw it, but there's a GigaOM article where the Dropcam CEO mentions that no one really wants to integrate Dropcams into their home automation system, so there's no need for them to work on it.
Yeah, they're just trying to own their domain.
Yeah, let them protect what they want to build. That's fine. I don't think that's okay.
But yeah, I think to kind of note on that is that I think the biggest problem would probably be just the accessibility to whatever sensors are available. So I don't think that there's necessarily anything missing from the system. But I think, like, say, Lowe's right now, they have a lot of low-cost door sensors and other sensors that are a lot more affordable. But yet we are kind of confined to Zigbees, and Z-Wave ones are maybe a little bit more expensive.
No, and that's one of them too. Like, an example of this is the Valve, right? The Valve that they have for $40, the Orbit one. And there is something like there's a Valve on the market right now that's $500, and the $40 Valve is obviously very different, and that's something we want to see too. Like, if there's a very different option than what's available, if there's a contact sensor out there for $20, then that's an addition too. That's a very important one. Good point, actually. So
yeah, I think like if you can get a $20 door sensor and maybe like even a $25 motion sensor, that will make the system much more affordable for a lot of people, and kind of it'll increase a lot more kind of accessibility for the system.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so it's also about like the purpose of this is to drive a priority list. So something that very low cost, like a $20 motion sensor, is high on the priority list, obviously. It'd be a higher priority than an integration controller. It's one of those things. So, but we're just trying to, like, get everything in perspective, see what we're missing, see what needs to be done. It's a mix of it all.
Good position. I like it.
I've been coming up with cool buzzwords like device library, strategic integration. What's another one I came up with? I think they're all funny sounding. Probably people don't get I'm joking with this stuff. Like, pretty funny. Smart Things Universe. Oh, I'm using that one.
Along the same lines with, hold on, we got a few questions here. Another big one is on ceiling fan controller. Yeah, fan controller, Dave, is one that we're missing. And let's see, and iBeacons. some guest mentioned. I don't know who guest is. I'm going to post a link in here. It's not quite along the same lines, but I think it's interesting that some folks in the community, this guy Longhorn84, has started to catalog all of our smart apps because we don't really have a good place to catalog them online. The sad part about that is we are currently going through and like culling some of the smart apps that are redundant and that don't do anything or whatever else. And so that list is going to be obsolete just before it even gets sent around. But I think it's nice that people in the community are doing that anyways.
Yeah, I think on that note, I think one of the interesting things that I would like SmartThings to build is some type of IFTTT, where you can kind of build your own smart apps with any type of compatibility.
Ooh,
yeah. We could show you what we're working on.
If only we could show you.
I guess I'm not the only person to think about this.
No, if Ben would stop the recording, I could probably show a little bit of it, but I'm not going to.
Oh, so that's what you're worried about? The recording?
Also, on a side note, the Leviton makes a fan controller that's compatible. You just need the latest firmware. You need the Labs firmware for it to work, which is why I've kept it off the list until we're done rolling that out. But Leviton has a fan controller. It's a little pricey, but it'll do like low, medium, high, whatever. I think it's got 4 speeds.
How far away are you guys from making that custom rule builder?
Oh, I have no idea. Actually, there's a lot to go into it. I don't know if you've seen this on devices, but they now have a new capability called actuator or sensor, which is part of it. So like an actuator is something that can take a command, and a sensor is something that gives one. So that's part of it. That's all I can really hint at. But a lot of devices, you'll see it now, all our default ones, they have new capabilities called actuator and sensor. Oh, Ben's showing his screen.
Stop teasing us. Ben, what you got?
So I'm just going to show this really briefly, and it's not anywhere near prime time, but the idea is that we're thinking about these things, and we're talking about creating a rule builder in such a way that you can select triggers, conditions, and actions from a generic palette of things. You can just say like, hey, when this motion sensor, does its action when it's active, let's say, then add a trigger to do, turn the box lamp on when, and you can keep adding triggers.
Hey, Ben, we're not like seeing anything. We're just seeing your blue jean screen, you noob.
It says it's sharing. I don't know why it's not.
It's
doing
sharing,
that.
but you don't have reflector open on the screen.
I sure do.
Oh my god, this is like showing my dad what button turns TV on.
I think reflector crashed or something. I don't know.
I can see it in the background. I can see your app there.
Can you see it now?
It's hiding behind Chrome.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, the worst. So basically, there's this, and it may never manifest like this. James would kill me if I knew I was showing this right now. But basically, we have this idea of a rule builder where you can set up different actions, triggers, and conditions to do different things, and you can basically set it up so let me just see this here, like bedroom motion. When there's bedroom motion, select some conditions. I don't even really know exactly how this would, when contact is open, and you can continue to add conditions and sort of chain those together, then what action would you take? I want to either add an action like turn on a lamp. So here's like the different things it can do. Turn on, off, refresh, pull, all the things that particular device can do. Not cleaned up, not user-friendly, but definitely an improvement over trying to write a smart app for people like me who really aren't programmers, being able to do that. And then basically hitting done, setting it up, calling it something, and then being able to run that. So that is something that we've thought about. We're trying to figure out the best way to introduce it into the system, but it's still an advanced feature. Thinking about things like triggers and conditions and actions is still something that like my mom isn't going to do. So we want to make sure that like roll it out in a way that isn't like even doesn't complicate the product more. So.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if your mom's a target audience for a system like this right now.
You don't know my mom.
I don't.
So many jokes right now. Look at me, refraining like a perfect gentleman.
All right. That's that. Just to show that we're not like ignoring that. We've done a lot of prototypes in that realm, from WYSIWYG, like drag and drop sort of like configurators to
that was awful, by the way. I just want to mention that.
Yeah. The drag and drop configurator is great if you want very simple things like what IFT does, but as soon as you have an AND or an OR or a conditional, it just starts to get more complicated than just like doing it in a smart app. And so we scrapped that quite quickly.
Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off, but I remember that from a while ago, and that was ugly, and it was not easy to use.
No.
It actually ended up more complicated. It looked like you were like in a Microsoft Visio program creating flowcharts.
Yeah.
It was not exactly the easiest.
Was this in mobile or on the web?
This was
on
web.
the web.
When we were prototyping on the web.
Do you guys plan to make this a mobile thing, or do you guys think about opening it up as first rev as being on the web app? That's how I thought of it initially. Is for the more advanced users, you want to put in the IDE rather than on the mobile app.
So you're basically looking at like a conditional and action and trigger builder within the IDE that like, or like a substitute for the code view. It's almost like a non-code view for that rule builder.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like if we do release it, it's probably going to be quicker to release it on mobile. But we are trying to make strides on the web views. We would like to extend the web views so that there are more interactions that you can take on your locations within the web view. But it's not like a focus area right now. So I would imagine it comes out in a mobile view before it comes out in web.
I keep on looking behind me. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get murdered.
Yep.
What's up?
All right. What other questions? Well, Todd, hey, how's it going?
Finally made it. I couldn't find ice. It's 95 here, man. I need ice.
Oh
my God. It's 42 here in Minneapolis and raining.
Here too. I don't know if it's raining. Doesn't look like it.
So we're at the time of the meeting where I talk about the community platform again, where someone chimes in, like probably Ermin or Todd, about picking a platform. I ignore them. We can dispense with that, and say that we're moving forward on some discourse modifications, making sure that we can do what we think we can do, and exploring the options for content importing and single sign-on and account migration, whether or not we want to do that, what's feasible, and that sort of thing. What? Am I on a big delay and you just heard that now?
No, check the comments.
Oh, man. I bet it's hashtag pick a platform. Yeah, exactly. I know Todd said SharePoint, and I pretty much almost banned him for life from the community.
You should have.
So.
Hey, it's better than vBulletin.
No.
Yes, it is. vBulletin's awful.
No, SharePoint is the worst.
Nothing is worse than SharePoint.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I said we just do it. I said we go to SharePoint.
No.
I have to write crap in SharePoint every day. I hate it. And InfoPath.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your suffering.
We're gonna change all smart app languages to VB.
Hey, today's the 50th birthday of BASIC, man. Come on.
Oh my
I
god.
saw your tweet about that. Have you written BASIC, Todd? Sure.
I started out with a language called Rocky Mountain BASIC, which was on some early HP devices that used HPIB communications channels. Good stuff, but that's what there was back then in the 70s and 80s.
Back in the dark ages.
So, Eric, there's an Eric that has joined. Eric, are you the Eric who was thinking about asking some questions during this?
I think so.
Okay.
So I had one question which I've gotten a good workaround for, but it's still kind of an odd situation, and that is I've got a rule set up based on modes to turn on a light outside my front porch. So the idea is when the mode is night and I have motion on the front porch, I turn the light on for 5 minutes. Works great. Come home, step on the front porch. If it's night, the light goes on, the whole deal. But I noticed something odd happens in the morning, and that is if I walk out the door at less than 5 minutes before sunrise, the light will trip on and never go off. Because apparently it kicks on, and once the timeout for the light being on runs out, by that time the mode has changed and it doesn't know to turn it off.
Can you tell it to turn it off when the mode changes?
That was the workaround that was suggested, and that will certainly work for my application. I just thought it was an interesting kind of a glitch.
Yeah. What would you prefer its action be? Because I think we are dealing with, like, I don't know if it's necessarily race conditions, but like certain timing issues.
Yeah, as I say, for my use case, I think the idea of turning it off with the mode is fine.
So the timer just stops because you have it running in one mode, right? And then you go to the next mode and it doesn't run.
Apparently.
Interesting. That could very well be by design, actually.
How did you format your off command? Do you have a timer that runs during that time, or do you have it on a delay?
Well, I did all of this. I just built this from the dashboard.
Oh.
So I just selected the values from the dashboard.
I think actually everything. I actually don't use custom smart apps at home on purpose. A lot of us don't at Smart Things. If you can't do what you want to do with the basic app, then we try to work it into the app so it's like that. So that's a good use case.
So my other question, since Todd's on, he may know the answer to this. I'm confused with Sonos as far as how I should set it up, and that is how I should introduce my devices, because I've got like 9 Sonos devices. Should I bring those in separately, for example, group them by rooms so that I would end up with, let's say, 4 or 5 things that would each represent a room with a couple of Sonos devices? Or do I bring them all in, and is there going to be some way to parse them out when I'm in an app? Or I'm losing it as far as how I should be setting it up.
That one's beyond me there. Ermin, I defer.
Huh?
Ermin?
What?
I said I defer to you on that one. I have no Sonos.
Are you going to make Eric repeat himself, Ermin? No.
No, I apologize. I thought Todd was the Sonos guy.
I'm a wannabe.
That would be Bob. I don't want to make you repeat the question, but I probably don't know the answer. I actually don't know a lot.
I would say either post that on the build site or send that in to me, and I can forward it to Bob as well.
No, post it on the build site. sometimes people get offended when I try to send them to the build site, but the reason I do that is because it becomes public, and then everyone else can see the answer. That's a huge help for everybody. There's a lot of times where I get code questions in support, and it's the same question over and over and over again. And it's finally, I get someone brave enough to post it in this forum, and then I stop getting it.
In fairness, for a while, it was hard to get any of you guys to respond on the forums.
Yeah,
So-
I don't blame you. You're right. It's gonna get a lot better on the new platform, just because I get to offload all responsibility to Ben, basically.
Well,
It's a good system.
mostly we won't have to spend the hours that we spend dealing with comment and forum spam, and we can deal with actual questions.
And all the questions I don't know the answer to, I'm just gonna mark as spam anyway. Just delete. I have all the power.
So, on a completely different note, I had asked probably a month ago about the SmartInit controller that has two switch units built into a single controller. It's the ZBL C15. And I know that there was some complexity in trying to control both circuits separately, but I just haven't seen any update in the supported products list, and I wondered if that was being worked on, only because I've got one here that I can't wait to install.
Actually, no, that's been installed. The problem with those, like 2-for-1 devices, is smart apps don't know. Smart apps can't tell they're two different devices. It only sees one switch. So what we were trying to do is very much like the Quirky, where it's a parent-child relationship. We haven't quite figured out how to do that with locally connected devices like a Zigbee or a Z-Wave switch. So ideally what would happen is you'd pair the switch, and it would create two other like individual ones. So you have the main one that can control both at the same time, and then individual. And the problem we can't put that on the list again is that the smart app doesn't know if it doesn't know one switch over the other. It just sees one device. That's what we're trying to work on. It's complex. You have to have a device, like a Zigbee device, recreate itself into two different devices, which has not been done yet. So very interesting.
You have the device there, Eric. Can you hold that up again?
It's like a little relay, with two switches in it.
All right. Yeah, all right.
The thing I like about it is that it's substantially better built than the Aeon Labs ones, the microcontrollers. And if you want to do two of them, it's a lot more compact than trying to stuff two of the Aeon devices into a breaker box. I mean, an outlet box.
Yeah, like the flagship device that would had that kind of development is the Aeon Smart Strip, which is really the only broader device like that. We've actually done searches on those devices that you have there by like a manufacturer, and there's really just not enough to justify taking a developer off what he's got. God, we're so stretched thin.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, we have like, I don't know, sub 10 of people with those devices. It's very difficult to justify it all.
On that note, Eric, have you played around with like different relays and found out which one works best?
No, not really. The only thing I've got are those Aeon microcontrollers. I've got a couple of those, and they seem to work pretty well.
I'm looking to hide one in my ceiling, and I won't have a switch access to it, so I need something that's going to be reliable and not disconnect off the system. So
I don't have switches on these either. I just took the switches out completely. In fact, I needed to because they're such a tight fit in the box. There wasn't any room to leave a switch there. But they've been reliable. I mean, it's the lights on the front of my house, and it's been solid for a couple of months.
So how do you turn it on and off?
Through SmartThings.
Only?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the outdoor it's two fixtures. One is a couple of sconces that are facing out. Those are just driven by the mode. So they turn on at sunset and off at sunrise. And then the overhead light in the porch is the one I was talking about earlier. That's triggered by the motion detector if it detects motion on the front porch and the mode is, nighttime.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
I just ordered 2 RF 9500s. I posted a comment on it yesterday or the day before. It's a battery operated switch, so I'm trying to incorporate it into where I don't have a neutral. So I'll report back on that.
Yeah, one possible way of doing this is that you bring the single device in that has the 2 switches in it. And then you kind of obfuscate the separate switch out to a virtual device, and then the virtual devices carry the unique command to this separate switch inside the one. That's one way of doing it. You follow me on that? Nope.
So you're gonna have to manually go to IDE and kind of reconfigure the device and try to get.
Well, actually, through a service manager, you can create child devices and then give them a unique ID and drive those. But you'd have to, through code, then tie them back to that singular device and somehow create a layer with the virtual device. Essentially, is what it would be. I mean, it's one way of doing it. In fact, you probably do it today. The one thing that SmartThings doesn't let you do is have the same device ID for 2 separate devices. So, like, if you wanted to drive just one side of that switch, you would essentially have to. It would look like one to SmartThings. So, what you do is create the virtual device, somehow tie its command set to one side of that switch, so it has its own unique device ID. It communicates to that one switch through a unique command set, and then another virtual device driving to there with its commands for it. It's a roundabout way, but it's possible. But do I need another drink? I understood it.
No, I think I'm the one that needs another drink.
Oh, okay. No, that was one of the things that I was running up against with the sprinkler controller, because I wanted each station to have a unique type of device ID, so that you can command it on and off by itself, but then so you can put them in different groups, but then also have it as a single device with the 8 different stations inside. It's the multiple devices essentially in a parent device, like what you can do with relays and that switch that you have there and all those different circumstances. And the power strip.
Right.
Maybe that's another thing I'll do, Ermin.
Yeah. Do it.
Another.
All right. Anyone else have anything that's been burning in their brains?
How are the docks going?
Good. We had hoped to launch them tomorrow, but there's been a few folks who have to complete a few more tasks before we can do that. We also didn't pick a platform for hosting the docs until just recently this week, and so it will probably, I would say next week they'll be available, maybe to some of this group first and then more publicly. But yeah, I didn't get Dan Lieberman to join today's call, but by the next call for sure, the docs will be out. I'm putting a promise down on that.
Dave, I think you can do that through the web interface, but I don't believe there's a way to do it through the mobile apps. But I'm not sure. I've never actually tried it.
It's actually the opposite. You can add a new user in the mobile app. We have some support doc on that. Let me find it. I can post it here. Let me find it real quick. And then, ignore me.
Custom rule builder. What's that? Did you guys talk about something I didn't hear?
Oh, no. I don't know
we're
what
keeping that from you.
No, I don't know what we're talking about. What are you talking about? Here we go. Hold on. Ready?
Just watch the video over again.
Okay.
Rewind back to minute 25.
Okay. I was listening to the conversation while I was driving. Did you guys see my driving home?
Yeah, I heard you too.
You heard me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just say, excuse me then. I've got a stomach flu.
Awesome.
Hey Todd, any updates on Spotter?
I posted a thing today that we pulled it back. There's some issues on their side and on ours. We had a couple things, especially the battery was flopping back and forth, saying it didn't have a battery. Then it said it was on battery power, even if it didn't have batteries in it. And it was constantly, like every 30 seconds, SmartThings thought that it lost all battery power, would send you an alert that the battery was at 0. So decided to pull it out and work with the Quirky folks and try to get it to where it's more stable and also more accurate. We were seeing things on the temperature that you guys all reported, seeing things on the humidity, but mostly it was the battery that was driving it nuts. But Danny's going to work with them, and so will I, just as we did on the power strip, to get that firmware fixed.
And any ETA on that?
No, they haven't given us anything yet. I can't make any statement right now.
All right.
So I'll defer to my press secretary. Ermin?
Soon.
Yeah, there you go. I'm still trying to pick a platform. I'm still trying to pick a platform. It's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, you should pick a platform.
Which finger was that in the eye? Anyway, hey, Ben, I just saw a thing that there is now the Pico breweries for the kitchen appliance. You've been following that?
No.
So you have powdered beer and an appliance that makes you a handcrafted beer, a glass at a time. And I want to see how that would work with SmartThings.
That sounds a little bit like blasphemy.
No, I'm serious.
Oh my God! Yeah, Todd, you're talking to the wrong person. He's a
powdered beer. What?
I'd have it. I have no qualms with that.
You'd probably just snort it.
No. Did you guys see the article about the powdered liquor, like powdered drinks, powdered vodka?
Yep.
That's terrible.
No, it was genius. But they put binders in it so you can't snort it, which is fine with me. I would just oh my God, I would
cook it in a spoon and shoot it. Yeah, okay.
Alcohol. Yeah. You've already talked about how you would use it with
Fun Dip. Yeah, it would revolutionize my Fun Dip consumption.
Fun Dip. Yeah, that's what I couldn't remember what that was.
There's no laws against Fun Dip in operating a vehicle, at least. Well, there used to be. But I would love it. But apparently, the FDA says it slipped through, and then they reneged on it, which sucked.
Oh, really? They put the kibosh on it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my God, they couldn't keep the alcohol level constant enough, so they had to go back and fix that.
That's BS. That seems like it would be the easiest thing to do.
Listen, we don't need powdered alcohol. That's just a thing we don't need.
What I want to know, Ben, is why you're trying to stifle innovation. You're at a startup. Here you are, just stifling new technologies and innovation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. If you could put a handcrafted beer with SmartThings out on the market and put your name underneath, you would be proud man.
Ben would never put his name underneath a powdered beer.
It's not just supposed to be a powder.
He would never put his name near a powdered beer.
All right. Well, we got 5 minutes. Here we go. Is there an update on the Up 24? If only Juan could have joined us. I don't know if he's actually been working on it or not, though. What sort of updates do you want to see on it?
How about it working would probably be a good update.
Hey.
The update is we're waiting on Jawbone. Actually, here's a shout out to Jawbone. They are reformatting their API specifically because we asked them to, which is super cool on them. What was happening earlier is their Jawbones through their API they don't have individual identifying numbers, so they can send a thing to their API and say, you have this Jawbone associated with this account. So they're trying to work on that, and that's pretty cool of them. No one really. I mean, some people did, but I didn't expect a company like that to just yeah, sure, we want to work with you. You guys are cool. I'm like,
well, Dropcam did, didn't they?
Respect.
Didn't Dropcam do that?
Oh,
you already missed the whole Dropcam thing.
Oh, I did? Okay. I'll rewind.
Did you see, though, the best comment on that thing? The first comment was
the only comment.
Well, no, there's more comments now, but
there are. The comment was genius. It was oh my god.
Well, Mr. Duffy, you should thank SmartThings because their integration made me buy your product. And I really do think there are a lot of people who Dropcam doesn't have as much, value until it is connected with a bigger system. But I think the bigger issue is they want to have a bigger system eventually, just like Nest does. And so they're kind of not making it easy for integrators.
Well, can I share a secret with everybody online here?
Secret.
Good. Yes. The secret's shared online. Always stay between.
Everybody, raise your right hand like a little peace sign. Okay. I swear that I won't tell anybody else. Anyway, TCP Lighting. TCP Lighting said no. We have no API and we don't want to talk to anybody. But now you see them that we announced that the integration that they're actually playing off it. Their
price went up.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
The price on the device doubled.
Yeah. Shortly after we announced it, their price went up $10 or $20.
Really?
Yeah,
What's the price of a bulb now?
The bulb is the same, but the starter kit's changed.
Yeah.
I met with a guy today who is going to be kickstarting a product next month. It's called Bell LED. It's actually, I can't remember, but basically they are going to produce a colored light bulb that they're going to sell for $29 a piece. Looks very much like Hue in the way that it acts. They're trying to do some weird things with sound, and they're actually making their own RF protocol, which I find suspect, but I know, but their little hub is wireless and it connects to a router or whatever else. But yeah, they're trying to do some things with audio where the bulbs actually react to sound and whatnot. But anyways, BELLEDS.com. They just won a MIT some sort of award or another.
Did they win the uselessly proprietary for no reason award?
Exactly. Well, they're MIT. They have to come up with something.
MIT Clean Energy Prize.
Yes. Now we heard the Jawbone Up 24. Who's got a Nike Fuel Band update? What?
This guy does.
Don't you have a Fuel Band?
Yes, and I love it. I freaking love that thing.
Nike's getting out of that business.
No, they're not. That's a lie.
No.
Yeah, whatever.
They just fired their hardware engineers.
They're paying me to say that.
They just fired their hardware engineers. They're going to keep on supporting the project. They were all like, that sucks. It's a dick move, but.
Well, I think though that what the point that you guys all bring up is that these guys are trying to stay, unique in their platforms closed, and that does nothing. If you open it up, you're going to make more sales. You talk to different devices and controllers, you're going to make more sales. I think that's going to be what we're going to see in the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah,
they're going
a lot
to
of
finally
companies are getting smart on it too. A lot of companies are smart on it. Some are reluctant. They still don't get it. and it's weird. I can't name names, but there are huge companies that I never thought in a million years would want to work with us or be open, and they have. They're like totally into it. And,
Cool.
And some are just absolutely no. We want to try to build our own thing. Like, yeah, good luck with that, bro.
Yeah, I ran into one of those earlier this week.
It's like, oh, I have to buy your $300 kit, and I can only work with like one thing. Sure, everyone will want you.
FOSCAM, just to address the timeline question, we've been super close on it for a while. It's been a matter of priorities. No one likes to hear that, of course, but we've got basically all our engineers preparing two things for the next month for announcements, and basically those two things are the marketplace to support the publishing of new device types and apps into the ecosystem by third parties, which is like all you guys, as well as the new version of the app, which is an evolution of the app to sort of clear up some things. But it's it is in the short-term pipeline, as Ermin just pointed out.
Buzzword, synergizing.
So I shouldn't shell out 200 for a drop cam.
Well, why? Are you worried that Dropcam is going to pull its access, or what?
No, I'm just trying to find out what the best solution. If nothing's going to come out for like another 3 months, then I may drop the money for it. But if something is going to be a little more affordable, then
I think if Tilt and Pan are important to you, you should just get the FOSCAM. I believe there are some community integrations already. There's nothing official from labs, and it will come out. We will support FOSCAM at some point.
Yeah, FOSCAM has a build integration. You could hack it in. You have to open a port for it in your router and all that, but eventually it will be SmartThingsable, just probably within the 3 month.
David says that Dropcam doesn't have external camera. That is true, although I do have my camera outside in a Tupperware container with a hole cut in it. So
yeah, that by the way,
totally
hilarious.
external.
You should get a picture of that and post it, because I remember seeing that when I was in DC last. That was just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Ridiculous or awesome?
No, it was ridiculous. It was pretty ridiculous. FOSCAM, we have a FOSCAM outdoor camera, and those things are raw looking. They look badass. Just like the whole design of it, they look badass. We were talking about getting like those alarm signs that people put on their lawns. We're talking about getting one of those, but with the SmartThings logo. But the problem with the SmartThings logo is it's too happy. It's too inviting. Like, it looks too nice. It doesn't look scary. Like, if I was a robber, I saw, connected with SmartThings, I'd be like, oh, nice, that's cool. I should get one of those. Glass, bro.
They do make Dropcam enclosures for externals though.
They do?
Yeah, there's like circular casing that you can put your Dropcam into.
Dropcam makes them themselves?
No, it's a third party.
Okay. Good to know. I was thinking about getting a Dropcam Pro. I used to have two of the like CVR services, but now I just have one going, and I probably wouldn't need to have even that, but I'm lazy. Well, look at that. We are 5 minutes over. Anything else people want to talk about before we call it a night?
I have a quick one. Is anybody here that can speak to where we're at on the local hub communication?
Yeah, so it's time to go. Good to see everybody.
Okay. The one thing that
yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The one thing is that we had the max commands that would queue up, so you would only be able to issue so many standard commands out. So like in the case of the TCP light bulbs, we were hitting a limit in there, and I knew there was, some talk about updating the firmware for that. Are you aware of what's going on with that, Erm?
Yeah, it's difficult. We never built the hub for that kind of use.
Yeah.
We're kind of focusing on the next gen hub, which is in very active development. And in fact, I'm not sure, Ben, if you've seen them, but I just saw designs of it yesterday, and it looks badass.
You mean the internals or the external?
Of what?
The hub.
The hub B2?
Yeah.
What's badass about it?
It just looks cool, and it's got a lot of shit ready to go in it. But I mean, that's in the longer range, right? That's in the months.
Is it going to run Linux?
Yeah, most likely some sort of flavor of Linux.
So that's kind of the target for fixing those kind of things is then, and there's some workaround. Meanwhile,
it was two choices, right? We either spin our wheels trying to get that hacked into the current hub, which would very much be a hack because that hub was not built for that kind of stuff, or we spend our development time creating the new one, getting the new one going.
Understand.
And the new one's badass. Todd, I'm sure you'll have a first cut in a few months when it's time. As will most core team.
There's a few. I think we still have to do a lot more vetting on it, but I mean, we have at least one person working on that basically full time, like the new hub.
Excellent.
And to answer your question, Yves, the hub supports local connected devices, right? Very much does. The hub, Wemo, FOSCAM will be a local one. All that stuff that's on the local network will be supported. But I think Todd's talking about offline.
That's
connecting directly to the hub, issuing commands directly. But there you go.
So did you guys see that post today that we're actually, and it was not on any purposeful thing by me, but we're able to connect to the TCP lighting fixture metaphor. So you end up getting the chandelier. If you set it up in the TCP lighting as a fixture, it automatically comes over as a single device, so you can control multiple bulbs in a fixture setting with one control. Actually, I didn't even try that while in development, but one of the users posted it today. I think his name is Ronnie or something, I believe. And so he actually figured out how to get it in as single bulbs and as a fixture, so you can control either or. It was pretty cool.
Nice. Todd, before we leave, I didn't know, have you seen, or I don't even know if it's available yet, but the Belkin Wemo crockpot? It seems up your alley.
I've seen it.
Is it live yet, or is it still in production?
I don't know.
I think there needs to be a smart crockpot integration somehow. I mean, I think that thing has to know more about what it's cooking than, no offense, the current smart crockpot.
What it's cooking? Is that what you said?
I don't know what it would know, but it just seems, I don't know, that it can't just be an integrated on-off switch in there, can it?
The Belkin Wemo, you can actually control the different settings on their crockpot. So you can actually turn it off, have it come back on. You can set it from high and then put it to low. So there's more of a granular control on the device itself.
Right.
But it doesn't have a Twitter handle yet.
Well, anytime you can figure out how to order that, we could reimburse you for it.
All right. I'll let you know. I'll Google it.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming out tonight at this hour. We can see how this works for future ones. Maybe we alternate or something. Developer after hours. Nice. See you in 2 weeks, Dave. All right. Thanks. I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.